guys, this is Rocio from Mama Abroad, and I have amazing news. I am the proud mother of Maximilian Roberto now for a whole week. Little Mosey was born last Tuesday on February 3rd, 2015, and he is a healthy, perfect little angel. The last 7 days have been amazing. I am just over the moon. I'm feeling wonderful. A little tired, but I've never been happier. So, I want to share with you guys a bit of my birth story, or Mosey's birth story. So, it all started on a dark night. Last Monday. So last Monday was actually a very normal day. My mom arrived in London on the Friday, and we rested and we had lots of fun. We actually went partying on Friday night and Saturday night with my friends. Sunday night we took it. Sunday during the day we took it really easy. And then on Monday, there was a lot of things that we wanted to do, so we kind of we spent the day walking around, buying fruits and vegetables, doing just kind of like admin stuff, like exchanging money, things like that. And we went out for lunch. It was a really nice and sunny day. And then on that evening, this happened. About 1 hour ago. So it is now 10:05 p.m. on February the 2nd, 2015, and my water it broke about an hour ago. Since then, we were having dinner, my mom, Maxi, and I, and we were watching The Good Wife, and then I just felt something really warm running down my legs, and I couldn't really stop it, which was something that the midwife said, because it obviously doesn't come from where pee comes from, but from vagina, so can't really hold it in. And that's what happened, and it's continued to come for an hour now. And I've taken a shower, washed my hair, shaved my legs, and cut my nails. And Max and my mom are just gonna have a coffee, and then we're gonna make our way to the hospital because we called and they said that they needed to see me. So from what we learned in the antenatal class, it's gonna take in the next 24 hours, the baby should be born. So it's really exciting. And yeah, I feel really great. I don't think contractions have started because I'm not in any pain at all. But yeah, I feel really excited, really happy, and ready. I'll let you know how it goes. So yeah, that is the last I shot. After that, I was kind of busy, so I don't have any videos or footage for you guys, but I can tell you what the experience was like. So after we went to the hospital, they checked me and they saw that it was definitely my waters that broke and that I was already a centimeter dilated. So you need to be at least 4 centimeters dilated in order for them to admit you in the hospital. So because this can take hours, days, like it depends on you and your baby, then we were sent back home. Now, this was not a huge disappointment for me because I kind of suspected that that was going to be the case. They just wanted to see me and check that labor was starting naturally. If I hadn't started dilating already, they probably would have asked me to come in on Tuesday night for them to induce baby's labor. So everything was going on fine. We stayed at the hospital until we got back at 1, and by then it was snowing. So we were kind of worried that we were going to have to do the trip again in the snow, not knowing exactly how long it was going to take. Although, I had asked the baby to be born like either late at night or early in the morning because I wanted to avoid London traffic. And my baby, being the awesome creature that he is, he made my wish come true. So when we came back home, contractions started. They actually started on my way back on the cab. They were kind of like waves, and they started very mild, but they got strong very fast. Um, they were irregular, which it means that you're just not ready yet. You need to wait. So they were like every 4 minutes, and they were taking like some of them were 30 seconds, some of them were a minute. They varied a lot. And then we got back home. We sat back in front of the TV. I asked Maxi to make me a smoothie, and I had some cereal. My mom said don't. I insisted. I then regretted it because I got nauseous. Now Mosey's crying, so I'm gonna just go interrupt this real quick to go feed him, but I'll be back. Okay, so back to that night. Yeah, so then I kept trying to move and find a position that I was going to be more comfortable with. Once contractions get intense, there is not such a thing as a comfortable position. So I was on all fours, then I sat on the toilet, then I got in bed. Nothing really helped. I was in a lot of well, I don't want to say pain because it sounds so awful, but it was super intense. Um, yeah, so then Maxi suggested that he was talking to the midwives the whole time, and they suggested that he drew me a bath, so that would help with the contractions, and he did. I got really really cold out of the sun, so I kept complaining that the water wasn't warm enough. So he kept like boiling water and then pouring it into in the tub while I was in there, and that felt really nice. I was in the tub for maybe 2 hours. And the contractions got extremely, extremely intense while I was in there. I remember Maxi just kind of like with his contraction app measuring every time a contraction started and it faded away, which is really hard for me to like let him know exactly when it was starting and when it was going because they really feel like waves crashing, like they start like and then they gain intensity and then they go back down, but like the whole time you're having it, so you don't really know when to say it starts and then it ends. Um, and he is super sweet. He tried to help me massage my shoulders, massage my back, but I just did not want to be touched. I didn't let him. I was screaming a lot, which is strange for me because I didn't think I was going to be a screamer, but I could really. I mean, it was so intense. It just kind of takes over you. You're not really thinking. You're just kind of doing. And I remember telling him like I can't do this anymore. Like you need to do something. Do something. What are you gonna do? And he was just kind of like, honey, you just have to like there's nothing we can do. You just have to get through this. And I was like, oh my god, like I can't. I don't think I can. So then when it got so strong that I couldn't even stay laying like in the water anymore, I got out and I sat back on the toilet. And by then it was like 3 something, 3:30 maybe, and Max kept calling the hospital and telling them like, no, my wife's contractions are every 2 minutes and all this, and they kept saying, like hold on, wait as long as you can. The first baby usually takes a long time, so be patient. We don't want you to come, and then we have to send you back. So we tried and stay calm and stay at home as long as we could. But when I was like already sitting in the toilet, I was just kind of like I had reached a point where I could only find some relief in pushing. And my mom got really scared. She kept saying like, don't push, and she gave me a pillow and she kept asking me to hug the pillow, bite the pillow, but don't push. And I really tried, but I couldn't help it. Like my body just kind of like it had control over me, and I kept pushing. And so we all decided it was time to go. It didn't matter if they sent us back, but we had to just make sure that everything was okay because it was really, really intense. So we called a black cab because they have to take you. And that guy, he was so sweet because he didn't say anything, but I was like, on my knees in the back of his cab screaming, and he was really patient, and he drove us to UCH. And then when we got there, we went and tried to check in, and they said, midwives usually start with just like, can you please do a urine sample? So I grabbed one of the little bottles, and I was on my way to the toilet to do the urine sample. But on my way, I just had to stop like every couple of steps to push. And so when they saw that, they were like, actually come into the examination room. We're just gonna see where you are. And so we did. Maxi and I went in, and they checked me, and they saw that I was fully dilated, and the baby's head was already showing. And they asked Max whether he wanted to look, and Max and I had discussed this, and we said, you're just gonna stay on my back, like you're not gonna be looking. But at that, like, and at that moment, he just like really couldn't resist, so he saw, and he was so sweet. He told me like, oh my god, it has hair, like our baby's already there. So then everything moved super super quickly. We went into to the birthing center, which is also in the hospital. And yeah, so like where you check in is the first floor, the birthing center is on the third floor. So we just walked there, and then I was checked into this room with a birthing pool, because in my birthing plan I'd said I would like a water birth. They asked me, they said, okay, so you want a water birth? Should we fill the pool in? And I was just like, I really don't mind anymore. I don't care about what kind of birth. I just feel like I'm ready. Like, there's no time. And they were like, yeah, they agreed with me, and they were like, okay, then just make yourself comfortable. And the midwife suggested that Max sat on a chair, and then I kind of like, I was in front of him like this, like he was holding my arms, and I was like squatting like a frog and pushing. And then every time a contraction stopped, the midwife would say, okay, now let's get up and go like this. And so I would go like this, like a sumo wrestler. And then when the contraction started again, I would go down again and pushed. Now we did this twice, and then the baby's head started to come down, and my mom was holding my hand as well. So in the room there was only Max, the midwife, who is called Ina, from Hong Kong, with pink hair. She was really cool. And then me and Maxi, so just the four of us. And my mom kept holding my hand, and she kept looking, and she was like, oh my god, honey, like the head is really there, like you're almost there. And I couldn't believe it. I was so like, I just couldn't believe it. So I kept trying to look, but because my belly was on the way, I couldn't really see. So then I reached down and I touched his head, and I felt that it was true, like he was actually there, it was happening. So after that, I just kind of like had all the energy I needed to push, and it took like maybe 4 or 5 pushes, and then his shoulders came out, and it was just like this release, like first his head, that was hard, but then one last push, a long one, and then his shoulders came out, and then Ina just kind of like took him and placed him on my chest, and then I had this blue little thing there, and I just like, oh, and I could hold his hand, and he was so quiet. He was just looking and really really calm. He didn't cry. And yeah, and then they made me move to the bed, and I laid there, and he they said to try and breastfeed him, because that would help me with the third stage of labor, which is when you give birth to the placenta. And they asked, like, so up until now my whole birthing plan has gone perfectly. So i I wanted to be able to stay at home for as long as possible, so that the whole dilation and the whole contraction part of birth, which is really uncomfortable and emotional, happened in the privacy of my home. And so we managed to do that, and then I managed to do everything without any drugs. So by the time we got to the birthing center, it was really time to push. So I didn't even get any gas and air, nothing. So it was 100% natural. And then I got him straight after he came out to do some skin to skin. And then he latched onto my breast and started breastfeeding immediately. So they asked whether I wanted them to induce the birth of the placenta, the third stage of labor. And I said no, I wanted it to be natural. So because he was breastfeeding, that really helped the uterus continue to contract. And so that happened naturally as well. And when the placenta came out, I had to push maybe a couple of times, but it was like a piece of cake compared to what I'd just done like half an hour before. So that was easy. And yeah, and then that was it. Like, I stayed with him for about 3 hours. I had some tearing, so they stitched me, and that was the last bit that was painful, because yeah, they use like a very big injection thing to like numb the pain, and then they stitch it, and then yeah, then I took a shower. We were taken to a private room, and then we stayed there the whole day, and we were going to be discharged that day, but Mosey, or Maxi, he was so sleepy on that first day that he didn't want to be disturbed. Like, you couldn't disturb him. So he wasn't feeding, so they asked us to stay just to make sure that he was learning how to breastfeed properly. And so the whole day and the whole night, they were just checking that he was doing it. And him being the champion that he is, that first night, spent most of the night attached to my breast and breastfed. Even though, like, at the beginning I didn't have any milk, it was just kind of like this honey that's very nutritious, so he had to work really hard for it. He did, and yeah, so we came home the next day on Wednesday, and we've been here ever since. Having my mom here and my dad, who arrived on Thursday, and Maxi has been the best. They've treated me with so much care, and there's so much love. I've been fed in bed, um, and you know, like over the last 7 nights, like things have changed. He's gotten so much better. He's feeding every around 3 hours. He's waking up by himself and asking for it. He doesn't really cry very much. He just starts asking for milk, going like, or with his tongue out, like, or just goes. He's very passionate about breastfeeding. He like latches on and then it's like, he's so cute. Usually we've had 3 visits from midwives. No, 2 visits from a midwife and 1 from a health inspector, and everything has been positive so far. Babies usually lose a bit of weight during the first week, but actually Mosey gained a bit of weight, which is really positive. He's been pooing and feeding and everything perfectly, so he's very, very healthy. He was born at 4:51 a.m. on February 3rd in UCLH Birthing Center. He measured 51 centimeters and weighed 3.42 kilos, which is like 7.5 pounds. And yeah, he's gorgeous and I love him so much. And I am going to introduce him to you next week. He's quite small right now and I don't want to disturb him. He's opening his eyes more and more, but I don't think he's ready for the camera yet. But he is the cutest thing in the world. I'm so proud of him, and I'm so happy that everything went the way that I wanted, and I feel great. I don't have belly boos. I feel light, and it's wonderful. I'm recovering from the stitches wonderfully, and yeah, like the belly, it's crazy, but like your body is amazing. I mean, I still have a little, like what they called a pouch, because it takes a little while for it to go back down. As you can see, I have a little bit, but it's really, really very, very small. So I think in a week or so it should continue to contract, especially with breastfeeding, and then I should be back to my old self pretty soon, ready for summer. Yay! Sending you guys lots of kisses, feeling wonderful, and officially mama abroad. I am no longer a mama to be, I am a mom, and this is the best day ever. Bye.